welcome. This is Meet the Candidate. This morning we have James Dunning. He is running for re-election in District 18. So welcome, James. Thank you for taking the time to do this.
Jim.
Jim, okay. Let me know, Jim, everybody would first have a little background. Tell us that since it's re-election, how long have you been on the board, and kind of whatever got you to want to go on the board.
Well, my background is that I've been an engineer of some form most of my life, and I had a period of time when I was a retail person. I had a hardware store in another town, and but due to circumstances, that is no longer the case, and then went on and got some more education and ended up in environmental public health. And I worked for the Ho-Chunk Nation for 12 years as their environmental specialist. Okay. And then after I retired, the chair of the board at that time was a person that I knew, and they had an opening in my district, and he wanted me to run for it.
Okay.
So I did, and I won by 2 votes or something like that on the first time around, and I've been on ever since. So I'm just finishing my 14th year.
Oh my.
So been on there for quite a while. So, but yeah, that's my background as far as with the board. So.
And what energizes you to want to?
Well, there's a number of issues that the county is facing that I think I have the ability to work with and to do, and to be able to provide enough knowledge to help the programs forward. One is the carbon sustainability of the county. Okay. That's an area that I've been very interested in for quite some time, and we basically use the city's version of the sustainability resolution and passed it ourselves last April, and I was one of the co-authors of that. And I've also been part of the groundwater committee since I've been part of the board. Okay. And we've over the years seen issues that have affected our groundwater. We had the sand mines come in, and we didn't know how they would or wouldn't affect us, but we had to do a lot of research. Also, we have the CAFO issues, the large animal operations. Not as much in our county, but we see what happens to neighboring counties, and we don't want to be the same.
I agree.
So those are 2 issues that fit my background. The other ones are we have a serious mental health or lack of mental health observation in the county and in the area, and that's a cause of a lot of our county expense. I've been on finance and budget for the last 10 years or so, and every year between our human services and our jail population we have financial issues, and they're related. If we can't help a young person through mental, or parents through mental issues, they could end up in jail, and we don't want that. And if they get out of jail and we don't have the appropriate treatments for them, we have a problem there also. So it's a big circular effect, and it all costs us money. Yeah. So I feel I have the background on both of those issues too, not so much from a technical background, but an interest in those.
Okay. So when you look at the last, just this last cycle, was there anything more bigger than the mental health? Was there other ones that you saw as something that you needed to get addressed right away?
Well, the human services budget was the main issue that we had to work with. Okay. And part of that is because we have been taking a new approach. Okay. And in the process of a new approach, you have to use the old approach while you're bringing in the new approach, and that increases the amount of money that you're spending. And we're working our way through that, and it's looking on a positive basis. Yeah. And so that's an area that we hope to see some real improvement this coming year. So that was a big issue that we had. The incarceration rate has been stable, but that's been due to a lot of work on the CJCC, Criminal Justice Collaborating Committee, as well as the Human Services, mental health groups working with the inmates.
So, again, I've been learning more about the whole thing as I've been doing it. But one of the things that I think that people don't understand is that that the county is really an extension of a state.
Yes.
State. And so therefore, if they make decisions of mandatory programs, do they always support those programs with money? Or do they just expect you to do it?
Well, in most cases, I mean, sometimes they come with money. I mean, when we are expected to take over the state highways,
Okay.
you know, that, they send the money for that, and that's generally adequate, other than if there's snow, but then there's ways of getting reimbursed there also. But when it comes to human services, that doesn't always follow directly.
Okay.
And one of the issues that the state has put us in is that they won't allow us to raise our levy limits any more at 0%. I mean, we're not allowed to raise it any more than what our increased valuation is of property within the county.
Oh, okay.
So that, you know, yes, this year we could increase our valuation by 400,000, something like that, or it was what our amount we could spend. But that doesn't, when you've got more people, that doesn't
go
always
as far
add
as you
up.
think.
That's right.
It'd be a nice take-home pay if that ever happened, you know, but it doesn't cover what's really happening. It is the things that I'm hearing and seeing is the fact that, you know, because of the escalation, you know, it's been very difficult because what do you cut?
Yes.
And I know that there's some caveats to why you have to do what you have to do, and it all goes back to finance, you know, and so as sitting as a supervisor, how do you make that tough decision? I mean, it's tough.
Well, the first thing you do is it required?
Okay.
Yeah, that's the first question you ask. If it's required, you fund it,
Yeah.
and you look for the best ways to do that. And in many areas, our county is very good at that. When it comes to the criminal justice issues, some of our people are going to Washington and talking there about what type of programs we have. They're doing it at the National Counties Association.
Okay.
So we have some very good people, but they cost money too to have them on staff. So, but we do well there. But you also, and if it isn't required, then you start prioritizing. What's more important, fixing that road that goes in front of 2 farmhouses for a mile, or do we fix another one that's got a major thoroughfare? And those are decisions that, you know, certainly affect the people living on the one that's not getting the service.
Right.
It affects their cars when they hit the ruts. It affects the when it goes to gravel, and which we've had in the past a few roads go to gravel.
Okay.
So those are decisions that we make and try to look at. And then we try, of course, we always try to improve and become more technological adept at making changes. You know, we're doing things computer-wise we were doing with people before, so it makes it a lot of difference.
So in which to me as a citizen, how much of that did I really understand? You know, and I think that that's where I'm feeling that here's the opportunity for our supervisors to really help tell the people, you know, it's not as easy as it looks, and here's the reason why. You know,
And it is, and that's one of the reasons why our administrator is setting up this program coming up. I think it's the first week of March or first or second week of March, listening sessions that to get county input and to get people to understand what is going on and let them ask the questions. because what you said is true. Most people don't understand what the county does. And all they see is at the end of the year they get a tax bill and it went up over last year and therefore I'm upset. So whether, there was, we don't do this out of joy. I mean, we do it because we have a responsibility.
Right.
And I think what's interesting is one of the reasons that we have a lot of these tough decisions is because Eau Claire County for many, many years has been a very frugal county. And during the 70s and 80s and 90s, it was a fairly frugal county. And when the state finally said, we've had enough of these counties raising taxes, we're going to limit you, we were at a low level of taxation.
Okay.
And so we were already low. We're in the bottom quartile when it comes to taxation within the state.
Okay.
So we are, when they put the limit on us, we were held at a low level, and now, 20 years later, things have changed.
Yep.
And we're another 20,000 people higher, in the county. So, and we aren't able to do that. So.
And I think I think people, if you haven't been around and you haven't kept track of it, when those limits were set, okay, you really now, as mandates come for more services, there's not a lot of avenues to change that.
That's true. That's true.
We're kind of stuck.
You are stuck, and we see that, and we're seeing, how do we work smarter, and we're trying to do that, but sometimes that takes investment. To work smarter, and we don't want to borrow any more than we have to, and we do, but we don't want to.
Right, and there is a limit to. What I'm learning is the fact that there is a limit to where, if you go past that limit of borrowing, that it does affect the financial side of. Now you're going to pay more in interest.
Well, you pay more interest if you can get the loans.
Yeah.
It becomes, if you get a bad credit rating, no one's going to loan to you.
Yeah.
And so it does become an issue that we have to watch, and we work with our auditors and find out from them, and they'll let us know what we should or shouldn't be doing,
Of course.
and we try to stay that way.
Yeah.
So.
And I sometimes it may seem like, well, that doesn't seem like a big thing, but it really is a big thing. I mean, when you are, the way that I see it is you're given this budget to live under, and you work as hard as you can to do it. But when it comes to having to make those decisions, nobody's taking it lightly.
Right.
And I think that's really an important thing for people to understand, that, they aren't doing this off the cuff. I mean, when I see the number of commitments that you make as a public servant, I see all the paperwork that goes behind it, and the number of things that a commissioner, a supervisor has to do if they're going to keep themselves up to date on everything that's going on.
Yes.
So I commend you for wanting to keep doing that, because it's that kind of commitment, I guess, that anybody who goes into these positions has to understand that it is huge.
Right, and we're seeing, as times change within the county, we see what's happening to our mall as far as lost stores. When you have lost stores, you're probably having lost sales. We have a 0.5% sales tax. If the sales don't occur within the county, we don't get that 0.5.
Yeah.
And even though this is an area that we're still investigating, we aren't able to trace the out-of-state sales tax, which is charged to people. It is charged to them. We're not able to trace it back to us.
Okay.
So that's an issue. And we don't want to see, if Christmas sales are off 10% within the county, that's a fair amount of money.
It's a lot of money. And I think that those are the kinds of things that I think, as anybody goes into taking on this civic responsibility, that it's not something that you just read about and then okay, fine. It really comes down to the nitty gritty.
It does, and I look back at the first couple of years that I was on the board. I wasn't on finance and budget, so I didn't see that, but I was on parks and forest and planning and development, and looking at the issues and trying to understand those, and then eventually getting more into the financial end. And there's a lot of learning that goes on, and you can spend a lot of time doing it.
Yes, you can. This is an opportune time now for you to talk to your constituents and say, why you would like to have their vote and why you wanted to go for re-election.
Well, why I want to go for re-election is, as I said at the beginning, is that I think I have the ability to do what needs to be done when we can do it, within the limits. I have the experience. Experience does count sometimes. And even though there's issues of I may not be quite as up to date on the electronics as may be necessary, I still understand the need for it and look for sources of where I can get it. And so those are ways. I have a technical background that works with the sustainability, with our water resources.
Right.
Part of my job at Ho-Chunk was to monitor their wastewater and ground and their wells systems. So both of those are experience I still use even though I'm retired. And so I believe I have that, and my district is primarily students.
Okay.
And students have a future ahead of them that we'd like to see many of them stay in Eau Claire County, but we need to have a county that is viable and that is forward-looking and able to do that. And that's, I think, an area that I have that capability with.
Yeah.
So.
Again, I applaud you for those number of years. At the same time, understanding that the importance of everybody to get out and vote is there, as well as the fact that times change. That doesn't mean that all of a sudden nobody cares anymore. The caring's there. It's just you got to understand that, like any other system, you have to make the appropriate choices.
Yes.
That are going to help the most.
And I feel that I have that my background is the appropriate choice to make. So.
Well, Jim, thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
this time. To take this out, and I really hope that everything goes good for you, and I hope that number one, that the people understand you more today than they do.
Well, they're going to see a lot of me up on the campus here.
And that's good. Part of our mantra for anybody is to keep educating and keep learning. So that's what they're going to get.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you again.
Thank you again.
Great.